Good morning, YouTube. This is your man on the radio, George Page, coming to you live on YouTube. Anyway, I want to give a shout out to my brothers, XA Gucci 23, Weave the Watcher, and my sister, Miss Fistiana. These are people who are big fans of professional wrestling. Also, shout out to my man El Coche, the coach. And I got this information yesterday from my brother, XA Gucci 23, free XA. And he told me this because, like I said, I don't really watch wrestling that much anymore, other than maybe RH or stuff on YouTube more or less. But this confirmed that Paul White Jr., better known as The Big Show, better known as the Giant, or better known as The Rock used to call him, The Big Slow. That was so. The Rock was just, back then, The Rock was just crazy calling, The Big Show, The Big Slow, has officially signed with AEW, All Elite Wrestling. And, he's been around for a long time, as a wrestler. If I grew up, I remember him starting out as a giant over with WCW. And, he has been in so many, battles and wars with so many different wrestlers at times. And this is a big move for him. He originally started off as a young man playing basketball, and in college, and then he got out of college. At one point, I remember he was talking about how one time he was selling cars, and a big man like this selling you car, I think I'll buy it from him. And then eventually he got into wrestling, and for quite some time he was a big thing over at WCW. Held several titles at one point. He held the WCW's World Championship. I think he also was part of Tag Team Championship. And then he was also part of with Kevin Sullivan and his group. And then he also was one time part of NWO for a time. And and after WCW folded, he moved on and he went to WWE. I think that's when we still was WWEF at the time, before it became WWE. And he changed the name from the Giant to the Big Show. And over there, he, just made a big impact when he first started out. He was a big star for quite some time. And the thing with Big Show was that big choke slam and those, those hams. Look at those, and he was the biggest thing at the time. He stood about 7 feet 7'1", and then, like I said, I think by the time his career kind of slowed down a little bit, took a little dip. He was wrestling between. He was on Raw. He was on SmackDown, but still, he was still a popular character. He was tag team partners with several different wrestlers. Notably, one time he was tag team partner with Kane, and and he had in other wrestlers. And I think one time Rey Mysterio him out of battle. He had held tag team titles, world heavyweight titles, intercontinental title. Just he had a bunch of titles during his career. And like I said, his wars with the Undertaker, Brock Lesnar, him and Big Mark Henry, Randy Orton. He even had a thing with him as Rey Mysterio. You remember the Giant? No, that was Undertaker, Giant Gonzalez. And just so many guys he fought with. And his last battle was with Braun Strowman. That's what this guy's name, the big beard. And they look like two big lumberjack looking mothers. And then there was his celebrity fights with Big Shaq Diesel, and even he fought Floyd Mayweather Jr., Money Mayweather. I mean, what the heck? This is, come on, it's quite literally David versus Goliath in this fight. The Big Show. Oh my God! I remember seeing some of that, but like I said, by the time I was kind of waning off of WWE, I just barely watched as much like I used to. And then he also had his acting career. His first big acting role was Captain Insano in the movie The Water Boy. And I like that movie. The Water Boy is a great movie, and I think that was when he was still with WCW at the time. And he started, he's doing more stuff. He's seen in different movies and TV shows over the years. He even one time I think he had a series on Netflix where I heard. And this talks about him maybe even auditioning, since as MCU has Spider-Man's part of the MCU. Remember for a long time he was signed with Sony, and then Disney and Sony made a deal so they can do Spider-Man into the MCU um, universe. As you know, also the X-Men are coming in a few in a bit in a matter of a year or so. You would start seeing X-Men popping up, and this talks about him interested about playing the role of Wilson Fisk, aka the Kingpin. And there's been quite a few actors that played that role over the year. Most notably, Michael Duncan Clark in the Daredevil movie with Ben Affleck. That's not a great movie. And also Vincent D'Onofrio in the Daredevil series, that used to be on Netflix. But like I say, I think it can work. I mean, he shaved his face, and he has the bald head. And you got to remember, the Kingpin, people say he was big and fat. No, he was really mostly muscle. And he was huge. If you really follow the comics and look at him, you'll know more about the Kingpin. So I think there might be a good fit to play the Kingpin. He just a little working with his accent and stuff like that. Just how to speak and talk like somebody of breeding, but even though he came from the slums. And like I said, I was a big fan. I was a fan of the Big Show for quite some time. Him. He's a pretty good wrestler. He just known for being. I mean, for one time, was he fighting somebody and he broke the ring or something? It's been so long time ago. But like I said, making this leap to AEW is just AEW is kind of like I won't say like Impact. Remember, Impact back in the day was always recruiting old wrestlers from WWE, but most of the time they were still bit in their prime. And AEW's recruiting a lot of older wrestlers. Right back they got Rusev and a couple of the guys who just Dean or what's the face he used to be he uses his real name now because they can't use their the name known from when they were on WWE. They had to use their real name, and that's the thing. People gonna always call them by that. Like Hulk Hogan still called Hulk Hogan, even though I think Hulk Hogan has some kind of thing over his name. He can't, no matter where he goes, he's still Hulk Hogan. Some kind of contract he probably did with the McMahon's years ago. But like I said, I wish the best of luck for Big Show. You know, it's a big, like I said, it's a move from being with one organization for almost, 20 some years to jump to another one. But like I said, maybe like I said, he'll probably do this for a while, and then, he might even move on and do something else. So good luck to you, Big Show, or AKA Big Slow. I'm sorry. I better not say it to that man's face. I better not. I'm gonna have if he slap in my chest, I'm gonna have he'll cave in my chest. I have an imprint, look like a horse, kick me in the chest. Anyway, this is your man all the way, George Page. Don't like, subscribe, don't subscribe. I'm out.